of the great endeavors of archaeology is figuring out which events described in the Bible actually happened.
The story of Noah's Ark, a flood of legend, faith, and mystery that has captured imaginations for millennia. Picture the world awash in chaos, skies bursting open with torrents of rain, waters rising like a wrathful ocean.
The team at Noah's Ark's scans says this is the final resting place of Noah's Ark.
And one man, his family, and a wooden vessel tasked with saving every living creature. Today we're embarking on a journey through the biblical flood narrative, exploring its ancient origins, theological meaning, archaeological debates, and the vibrant theories about where the Ark may rest today. By the end, you'll be asking, could the Ark still exist somewhere on Earth? Let's set sail.
Because Noah's Ark is always one of those things that people for years have wanted to prove and find evidence of.
In the earliest lines of Genesis, humans have multiplied, and wickedness spreads across the earth. God, seeing hearts that are evil every day, regrets creating humankind. But in Noah, he finds a man who is righteous and blameless among the people of his time. Command comes from the Creator. Build a massive boat, an ark, measuring 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high, crafted of gopher wood and sealed with pitch. This ark, God explains, will save Noah, his family, and pairs of all living creatures from a devastating flood designed to cleanse the earth of corruption. This isn't just a boat, it's a lifeboat for creation itself. Noah obeys. 300 cubits, in today's terms, around 450 feet, makes this ark larger than many modern cargo ships. Its multi-level structure, compartments, and waterproofing with pitch suggest an advanced design unlike any ordinary vessel. And he builds it. As neighbors mock, calling Noah foolish, he labors. Although the world has never seen floods like this, he boards the animals in pairs, obeys the command to go in for safety, and the rains begin. 40 days and 40 nights of relentless downpour add to the flood, compounded by the fountains of the deep. Waters rise, submerging every mountaintop. Everything breathes its last, except for Ark's occupants floating on watery expanse. Then, after 150 days, the waters abate. The Ark comes to rest on the mountains of Ararat. Noah sends out a raven, later a dove, seeking dry land. The dove returns with an olive leaf, a sign of new life, a world reborn. Finally, earth dries, and God instructs Noah to disembark with his family and all the animals. Humanity starts anew, with animals, children, and a rainbow covenant. God promises never again to destroy all flesh with a flood, placing the rainbow in the sky as a reminder of his vow. This story has spiritual and symbolic power, a tale of judgment and mercy, destruction and renewal, failure and hope. But the appeal reaches beyond scripture. Cultures around the world, from the Epic of Gilgamesh in ancient Mesopotamia to Hindu legends, Native American flood stories, and Chinese myths, tell of catastrophic floods and divine rescue. Scholars believe such parallels may reflect a shared memory of ancient floods, magnified into myth, or storytelling borrowed across trade and migration. The question, was there a historical flood? Or are these timeless reminders of mortality chastened by human responsibility? For believers, Noah's Ark is literal truth. The flood was real, global, and historical. They point to fossil graveyards, deep sea sediment cores, and the formation of natural coal beds as evidence of water catastrophes. Some even claim dinosaur footprints in rock layers, and petrified forests prove rapid burial during a flood. Others propose that rapid burial accounts for soft tissue preservation in fossils. They argue that modern science, when interpreted through a biblical lens, supports a young Earth and global flood scenario. Critics, however, challenge this. Geological evidence points to localized floods, not a single global deluge. The distribution of fossil layers shows periods of life and death across continents at different times, not a single snapshot. Ice core samples, tree rings, and sediment layers span hundreds of thousands of years, not consistent with a one-time catastrophe. Specialists conclude the story is theological myth, a moral parable about humanity's tendency toward wickedness and a narrative common to many ancient cultures. Yet the physical vessel, the Ark, remains a focal point. Over the centuries, explorers, scientists, and treasure seekers have searched the slopes of Mount Ararat in eastern Turkey, where Genesis locates its resting place. In 1948, and again in 1959, pilot Ed Davis reported seeing a massive ship-like structure, icy and fossilized on the mountain's upper slopes. But no concrete wreckage has been recovered. In 1985, Ron Wyatt claimed to have found timbers embedded in ice, analyzed by scientists at Oak Island, but the results were contested, and access to the samples was restricted. Later expeditions in the 1990s and early 2000s found rock formations dubbed the 600-meter structure, but skeptics argue they're natural basalt columns, not a man-made boat. Another theory suggests the Ark may lie on Mount Kudi, near the Turkish-Iraqi border. Some Kurdish villagers point to large boat-shaped rocks they call Noah's boat. Satellite images appear to show semblances of a hull, but many experts caution that natural formations in pareidolia can fool even eager eyes. Geophysical surveys conducted in the 2010s found anomalies below the surface, but no consensus. These mountain sites remain in political and logistical limbo. Treacherous terrain, military zones, and Turkish authorities who restrict excavation. Beyond Turkey, other places claim a connection. In Iran, a ridge on Mount Ararat's twin, Mount Ararat's neighbor, also crops up as a boat after snow melts. In 2010, the Darupanar site, a rocky shape resembling a boat south of Dogobeyazit, gained attention after geologist Imam Isu measured rock layers, but excavations failed to support Ark claims. Some alternative researchers argue that Noah's Ark might be interpreted figuratively, and the Ark's true resting place is the mind, a memory of rebirth. Still, others anchor their faith in distant traditions. In Tibetan folklore, a nave, Nampa, rests in a lake-similar structure in the Trans-Himalaya. Among the Native American Hopi, flood stories speak of cataclysms and life vessels, though they offer no vessel remains. These tales suggest that flood stories, and by extension the Ark idea, may be universal to humankind. The Ark also surfaces in Christian and Islamic tradition. In Islam's Quran, the prophet Noah, warns of society's wickedness. "We sent a storm of stones on them, except the family of Nuh and those with him in the Ark," emphasizing divine mercy and moral responsibility. The Quranic story amplifies accountability and redemption, but describes a similar voyage, covenant, and new beginning, which suggests the Ark isn't just a Jewish-Christian myth, but a symbol across Abrahamic faiths. Let's consider dimensions again. If the Ark was 300 by 50 by 30 cubits, that makes it nearly 137,000 cubic feet, capable of holding tens of thousands of animals, food, and instruments. How did Noah fit it all in? Some suggest animals boarded as infants. Others argue that kinds, not species, were brought on board, meaning fewer creatures. Could unicorns blah blah, pun intended. It's a fascinating puzzle, blending biological, ecological, and theological calculations. Engineers have built replicas in the Netherlands to test this. The Dutch Ark replica survived storms, carried animals for display, and placed Noah's tale into our tangible world.
Full-size replica of Noah's Ark under construction in the Netherlands.
But global flood advocates argue these designs still compress the logistical challenges of feeding and housing species diversity. We also must ask, what legacy did Noah's Ark leave?
A massive creation, inspired by, of all things, a bad dream.
In art, it has been depicted for centuries, from medieval manuscripts to sandstone reliefs in ancient Near Eastern temples. In Protestant Europe, Ark exhibits were erected in churches. Armenian churches display Ark motifs, symbolizing God's covenant with creation. In modern popular culture, Ark appears in films like Evan Almighty, in novels by authors like Anatole France, and in documentaries claiming to uncover its physical remains. It's a cultural icon, transcending religion to touch literature, cinema, art, and architecture. Let's talk theology. Christian traditions interpret Noah as a precursor to Christ. Seductive symbolism, water cleanses sin, Ark shelters repentant, baptism emerges from flood imagery, Christianity says. Orthodox churches celebrate the feast of the uncovering of the precious and life-giving cross instead. But the flood stands as a primal moment of divine justice and grace. Jewish interpretations see Noah as a saintly prophet. Rabbinic literature expands his story, describing him as a man of virtue who interceded for the world, built an altar after the flood, and received covenant promises, including 12 fruits from a single seed, the rainbow, and shorter lifespans for humans to come. But skepticism counters. If a global flood covered Mount Everest, evidence must exist in ice cores and sediment. Yet such evidence is absent. Noah's accounts may reflect a massive regional flood, like the flooding of the Black Sea or Mesopotamian inundation. Many experts argue Genesis uses mythic storytelling to convey moral truth, not geological history. Genetic bottleneck data show humanity's population never dipped to just 8 individuals. Challenges abound, but the myth remains, like a vessel tugging at our shared human desire for renewal, rescue, covenant. Today's science explores new avenues, like searching deep-sea sediment layers, ice cores in Greenland and Antarctica for rapid climate changes. Can Earth's history reveal a global flood event? Not definitively, but climate records show massive cataclysms in the Holocene, mega floods from glacier melts, tsunami deposits, even younger Dryas cooling events. Local tragedies scaled to myth. In the end, maybe the Ark's true resting place isn't on a mountain at all, but within us. A story about our relationship to creation, responsibility, life, and divine promise. The flood narrative reminds us we're fragile, yet capable of redemption. It urges humility, care for animals, trust in a covenant that spans heaven and earth. So now I ask you, what's your verdict? Was there a global flood configured by an almighty act? Was the Ark a literal vessel that landed on Mount Ararat? Or is Noah's story a metaphor, an ancient myth reshaped by culture, history, and confession? Share your thoughts below. Is the Ark physically out there or spiritually within us? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because next week, who knows what we will dive into next. Thanks for sailing with me today. Noah's Ark may be ancient, but its story challenges us now. Stay curious.